Hello everyone, welcome to another Project Drops. And today we're going to talk about a tool that is really simple but also really helpful and that I like most on Project Pro, the RACI Matrix. The RACI Matrix is a tool that outlines roles and responsibilities. So in this tool, you can add roles and responsibilities for different activities, tasks, outputs, processes. So it's not only helpful for projects, but also for the process of the day-to-day of your organization, of your work. The RACI chart is actually just a matrix that has on the left side all the activities or all the tasks, and each letter, the R, A, C, and I, has a different role and a different participation on that specific task. Let's explore each role, and as we explore those roles, we will also be sharing tips and recommendations for that specific letter or specific role. Let's start with the R, the responsible. So the responsible person is the one who will do the work to achieve the task. It's someone who actually gets things done. It's the person who actually going to perform that activity, that task. We have only one responsible person per task. It is important that you add the name and or the job title for that person. So be really specific in who is going to be responsible for that task. However, you might have a task that will have be performed by a team, and in that you might want to delegate that task, or the person that is responsible will delegate that task. And in that case, we recommend that you add the name of the responsible person, and between parentheses, you can add other people that will be contributing to that task. But in the end, we have one responsible person supported by other people, other teams, other departments. We will see some examples later on. The accountable person, the A, that's the person who approves the work, who signs off. It is the person who owns and confirms that the work has been done. So it's the person that says, okay, this is done, this is complete, it's acceptable, let's move forward, let's move to the next task. It also has to have one person only, and one person only with no delegating. In this case, you need to be really specific in who's going to be approving the end or the completion of that task. And again, you have to be specific adding name or job title. For example, the project manager, the program manager, the finance director. So you need to be really specific in who is the accountable person. The C is the consulted people. So who are the people that will be actively solicited for input, for feedback? Their opinions are needed for that task. So once that task is ongoing, those people will be consulted to make that task to be completed. It's a two-way communication. So let's suppose that the responsible person will send an email to the consulted people, to the consultant person, and that person must send back a feedback. And it's important that the person knows that, because the task or the activity might stay on hold while waiting for that feedback. That's something that you also need to discuss when you develop your RACI matrix. Are consulting process, consulting message going to hold or put the task on hold while waiting for the feedback? Or it's just a consultation that if the deadline comes, we just move forward and complete the task. So that needs to be agreed when you're developing the RACI matrix. But usually the task would be on hold, waiting for that consulted person to send a feedback. It's almost like an approval or pre-approval for that task. But again, it's important that the consulted person knows that they need to send that feedback. Otherwise, they might just read the email, read the message, read the report, and does not provide any feedback because he or she doesn't know that he has to. The last one is the inform, the I. Who needs to be kept up to date, to be informed of the progress of the completion of that task? It's a one-way communication. So that's when the responsible person sends an email or sends a report or shares a document with people who need to be informed. You have to discuss when developing a RACI matrix, when that informed message will be sent. Is that through the work, every step? Are there milestones that we want to inform the informed people? Or is it only at the end when the task is completed? So this is important also to discuss how the inform is going to be working. And the opposite way of the consulted person, informed people they have to know that the task will continue or will be completed with or without their feedback. So, of course, their feedback is most welcome. But it's important that the informed person knows that they are only informed, because sometimes the task is completed and someone might say, well, I received an email about that specific task. I never provided my feedback and now it's completed. That's because you were informed, not consulted. Well, let's see some examples. The first task is to contact beneficiaries by phone and update their address and other contact information. And let's say that Paul is responsible for doing that. So Paul is going to be actually contacting the beneficiaries. The approval person is the project manager. So when Paul finalizes contacting all beneficiaries and updating all their contact information, Paul will submit to the project manager that task, who will say, okay, this is completed. Of course, when contacting the beneficiaries, we need to consult our local partners. They might have the information that we need, or they might have means to get in touch with the beneficiaries and collect updated data, updated information. And the field team will be informed at the end of that task. That's because when all contact information, all addresses are updated, the field team will receive that update list to allow them to perform their further activities. So they will be visiting, for example, those beneficiaries, and they need the updated contact information. The next task is creating candidates' profiles at the exam system and send them the access code to do the exams, to take the exams. The responsible person is Cecilia. So she is the one responsible to create the candidate profile in the system and send them the codes. The approval person is Edson. So once all the profiles are created, all the codes are sent, Cecilia will talk to Edson and let him know that the task has been completed, and Edson will approve or disapprove or send it back to Cecilia. The consulted people would be all partner organizations. So we need to get, Cecilia will have to collect all the candidates' emails, names to add on their profiles by contacting the partner organization. And of course, the partner organization is also informed when the task is completed. So see, you might have a consulted person that will be consulted through the task, why it's ongoing, what's being performed, and also at the end to be informed that it has been completed. Let's see the next activity, microfinance online workshop. So see, this is not just a specific task, it's something that might have subtasks. And in that case, the responsible person is John, supported by Susan and Ralph. Remember, we said that the responsible person should be one, but he or she could delegate that. But in this case, you can see clearly that John is ultimately the person who is responsible for that task. He might delegate activities to Susan to prepare the rooms, prepare the online system, preparing the access, the camera, or to Ralph to support in creating the slides that are going to be used. But John's going to be the person who is actually running the microfinance online workshop. The accountable person is the project manager. So the project manager will be the one who John will be informing when the microfinance online workshop is going and when it's completed, and he is the one who's approving every step in the way to perform that microfinance workshop. The human resources and the IT team must be consulted. So yeah, John might have to consult the human resource department to see who's going to be attending or who should be invited to that workshop. The IT team needs to be consulted to check, are the security measures in place regarding access on the internet? Are the platforms okay? Do we need to set up anything? So they are consulted because that activity needs their feedback or their input to be performed. And at the end, the human resource department will be informed to let them know who attended the workshop, to let them know that the workshop has been completed. The next activity is develop the project detail plan, let's say phase 1. So the responsible person is the project manager, supported by the project team. So it's not like the responsible is the project team and no one is going to be actually the main responsible for that. So we know that the project manager is the one who is responsible for making that happen, supported by the project team, of course. The accountable person is the program manager. So when the project manager completes the detailed plan for the phase 1, he will submit to the program manager, who will confirm that that activity has been completed. The consulted people would be the local partners. So in order to plan the activities, it's necessary to consult local partners to check agenda, schedule, resources, all the details for all the activities in the project that will be implemented with the local partners. So that's why they need to be consulted, and we need to we need to wait their feedback in order to complete the task. And finally, partners and our own organization, the partners, will be informed. So once we have the project plan detailed, we need to inform the partners, not only local partners, but other partners, donor partners, and the organization, the partners, because some of the resources, some of the activities that will be happening in that specific phase might need their support later on. Next activity is project financial report, that yearly financial report that is sent to the donor. So the responsible person is the project manager. And here is something that is interesting. The accountable person is the funding partner. It's really normal, it's really common in some organizations that we understand that the accountable person would be, for example, the finance department, which is not really true. The one who's going to tell us that that activity has been completed is the funding partner. The project manager is the one making that happen. The financial department, although, is consulted, so the task cannot be completed before or without the financial department feedback. So the financial department will check all the reports, check all the numbers, send it back to the project manager, who will send to the funding partner. And informant would be the program manager, all partners that we have a financial report available. So we need transparency, and that's going to be informing all the partners and the program manager and internal departments and so on. But see, it is not the project manager who is going to actually prepare the financial report. So the one who's going to be sitting behind the computer and writing the report is the project assistant. And the accountable person for that, writing the financial report, is the project manager. So see, the same activity, this is a subtask for the previous one. So the project assistant will be responsible, the project manager will be accountable, and we're going to be consulting again the financial department, the program manager, and all the actors or other departments or the partners or the stakeholders that are important for input on that financial report. So it's really important to see project manager was responsible for making the entire activity of reporting financially yearly, but in order to have that financial report done, it is actually the project assistant who's going to be sitting in a computer and write it down. Well, wrapping up, let's take a look at some final considerations and some final tips and recommendations. Developing a RACI matrix must be participative. It's important to gain consensus, buy-in from the team and the stakeholders. So it's not the project manager who is going to sit in a computer and just write down the RACI matrix. It's important to collect the information from all people who's going to be having any kind of role on that RACI matrix. It's developed together. You must or you can adapt the RACI matrix. We spoke earlier about the consulted person, if the activity would put on hold or not while waiting for the consultation. That could be in a note. So you can have a notes column to add that. You can have a deadline for the task, resources for that task, even if it's just a draft or an estimation, but it might help with the RACI matrix. So adapt it to the way it better works for your team. Share the RACI matrix. So once it's done, this is not going to the draw. You have to share that RACI matrix, not only with people who are performing the activities and tasks, but also for other people that might have interest in those activities. Delegate. So when you create a RACI chart, do not go into all the details. Remember, you have other tools to detail your activity, like the work breakdown structure. But in this moment, you have to be focused on the high-level task. Otherwise, you're going to be micromanaging. So like in the beginning, we talk about the workshop that John would be responsible for running. So for example, you don't have to go on each one of the tasks of that workshop. You can ask the responsible person to detail that activity and assign responsible roles for each one of those subtasks for the main activity. So we invite you to read the Project Deploy guide, to access the Project Deploy Starter, the Deploy Plus platform. You will find more examples. You will find more videos about the RACI Matrix. If you have any questions, the questions that have been posted during the webinar, we're going to be answered on YouTube or other social media. And if you have any more questions or suggestions about the RACI Matrix, visit our YouTube channel and leave a question, and we'll be answering all the questions that are posted there. So thank you so much, and see you again on our next project drops.